Okay guys, so I went ahead and I created a shadow folder, and I just went and copied the shadow that I created for the first box and dragged each one in behind the box. So now I have a shadow for everything. And I'm gonna, obviously, like all the other sections, this PSD is available for download, so you will have access to everything that I'm creating if you need to look at it for a reference, or if you want to see how I structured things or named files. Now the last thing we need to create is this this bar along the bottom that'll serve as a navigation. And let's open up our reference. So we have 5 different icons and 5 lines of text. Let's go ahead and create a new group for this. I'm going to close up everything that I have open. There we go. And this is on the very bottom, so I'm going to make this group. Let's first name it, let's just call it navigation. And I am going to drag this below the top bar. I'm going to drag this just above the background. And we can open that up, or we can just be on it. Let's create a new layer. And we'll call this layer background. Now, before we grab our rectangular marquee tool and drag this up from the side, I want to zoom in really far because there's something very subtle that we need to notice. Oops, let's drag down here. So you see there's this white rectangle, and right here at the top there's a gray line that runs across, and if we go in a bit further, 1500, it appears to only be 1 pixel. Now this is going to be a stroke, or at least that's how we're going to do it, and a stroke is essentially just an outline. So let's go back to, say, 700%. Let's grab our rectangular marquee tool, and while we have our background layer selected, we're going to drag just below this layer. Now you need to make sure it's touching the very bottom of the gray, but not on it or inside it. So let's run all the way down to the other end, and it's important that it is not above the gray, just below it. And let's drag this down so we have this entire area selected. Great, now we can zoom back out. Excellent, and I'm just going to fill this with white with our paint bucket tool. So make sure the foreground color is selected to white and fill. Okay, so now if we hide this reference layer, we see that we have our white bar here. Now, something we need to do to create that gray line at the top is, first of all, let's deselect Control D or Command D. Let's double click our background layer that we just created. Oh, I'm sorry. Should be in our navigation. Let's make sure that we drag this background layer we created into our navigation folder. Make sure it's in there, and then we're going to double click out over here to pull up our styles options, and we're going to give this a stroke. Now you'll notice that it created this thick black line at the top. We're going to change that. We know it's only 1 pixel, so let's change that to 1 pixel. And it's pretty dark black. We know that it's going to be a light gray, so let's come up here, drag the left, and come up and select a light gray. It's got to be lighter than that. A little bit lighter. There, and that looks perfect. Let's go ahead and look at our reference, see if that's about right. Yeah, almost exactly the same. So we've created the box. The next step is just to add the text, and then we're just going to grab the icons. So let's do that now.